Thank you. I now open the Governance Advisory Committee on the 14th of April at 6:45 p.m. The acknowledgement of country and the prayer having already been read. I also note that I have previously read the chairperson's announcement. There being no, Councillor Wurst is currently out of the room, so please be seated. Thank you. Are there any apologies or granting of leaves of absence? There being no apologies or leaves of absence.
Welcome.
Thank you. There being no requests to join the meeting by audio-visual link. Thank you. Could I please have a councillor confirm the minutes of the meeting on the 10th of March 2026? Confirmed by Councillor Gordon, seconded by Councillor Willington. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Are there any pecuniary interests? No? There are no draft pecuniary interests. Before we deal with items that there are speakers on, there's actually just a fair amount of noise from the public gallery, so if we could we just have them moved, otherwise just shut the door. Okay, well then, I'm advised by the General Manager that the door requires to be open, but there is still a fair amount of noise. Thank you. Thank you. Can I please have somebody move that GAC/8 be read and noted? Moved Councillor Magna, seconded Councillor Willington. I will now throw to, just before I do, the first, only a minor item, the draft operational plan and budget. Thank you. The first question which I have is I will throw to you, and what I will ask is, could you please elaborate on your report?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, councillors and members of the public. I'm going to speak today about the 2026-27 draft operational plan, which will be presented to you at the April Council of meeting to seek approval for exhibition in May. The operational plan, as we know, is a statutory document prepared annually under the New South Wales Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework. This briefing focuses on what's changed from last year, why, and the governance process leading to exhibition and adoption. The presentation follows the standard GAC format. We'll clarify the purpose of the report, situate the operational plan within the broader IP&R framework of the 10-year Community Strategic Plan and 4-year delivery program. We'll outline the key changes for 26-27, identify governance and risk, and confirm the next steps to meet the legislative timeframes. The purpose of the presentation is twofold: to provide information about the draft 26-27 operational plan and to confirm the timeline for exhibition and adoption. Under the IP&R framework, the operational plan is Council's opportunity each year to clearly articulate what will be delivered, how progress will be measured, and how resources are allocated and reported to the community. Under the IP&R framework, councils must prepare an annual report that gives effect to the 4-year delivery program. The operational plan must include the activities council will deliver during the year, a detailed annual budget, the statement of revenue policy, and the fees and charges schedule. The operational plan covers 1 year of activities for the financial year and sits within the delivery program commitments that have been made for this cycle. The DP is fixed at the beginning of council's term and remains unchanged for the whole term. Importantly, the operational plan is council's 1-year action plan, translating the longer-term community priorities from the Community Strategic Plan into deliverable activities. In this case, the 26-27 plan continues to meet commitments from the current delivery program, which in turn aligns to the 25-35 Community Strategic Plan. Whilst the structure of the operational plan remains consistent from year to year, several activities and indicators have been refined for the new financial year. Changes in the plan may reflect progress in activities that have already been achieved, consolidation of similar activities, improved alignment with newly adopted plans and strategies, policies or frameworks that Council has passed throughout the year, and to provide clearer wording to strengthen accountability, measurability and reporting. These adjustments are consistent with IPNR guidance, which anticipates that operational plans are reviewed and refined annually while maintaining alignment with the delivery program. This slide gives concrete examples of how activities have been adjusted between the current and the draft 26-27 operational plan. The types of updates include revising activities to align with the progress, new commitments, or in line with adopted strategies, rewording activities to clarify scope or intent, consolidating actions into a single activity for clearer reporting. The attachment to the GAC paper lists all the changes to activities, including activities which will be completed by the end of the current reporting period and therefore been removed from the draft new plan. This approach supports clearer performance reporting for the quarterly progress reports and annual report and reduces the duplication across our informing strategic areas. In some cases, targets or indicators for the operational plan activities have been revised to better reflect what Council is measuring and reporting. These revisions include introducing new indicators where gaps were identified and adjusting a target to better align with service level agreements or operational realities. IPNR guidance emphasises that performance measures should be meaningful, measurable and achievable, and these changes strengthen that alignment with the new operational plan. Two primary risks have been highlighted: a legal and governance risk if the legislated IPNR timeframes are not met for the operational plan and budget, and a reputational risk if community consultation is inadequate or poorly timed for the adoption of the plan and budget. The proposed mitigation, presentation in April, exhibition in May and adoption in June aligns with the statutory requirements and established IPNR practice. Maintaining this timetable is critical to demonstrating strong governance and accountability. The next steps are the business paper for the 28th of April meeting to consider placing the draft operational plan and budget on exhibition. There'll be a 28-day public exhibition period from 30 April to 28th of May, and the presentation of the consultation outcomes and the final plan for adoption will be at the 30th of June Council meeting. This process ensures compliance with IPNR legislation and provides the community with a clear opportunity to comment before adoption. Subject to exhibition outcomes, minor revisions may be made prior to final endorsement. I'm looking forward to councillor feedback and the outcomes of the community consultation as we move forward with the planning cycle.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the excellent presentation? Councillor Magna.
Thanks again for the work that you do on the presentation and the way that you present it. My question is a specific one about the implementing greening Randwick and the adjustment to the target from 100% to 90%. Could you just explain or unpack the reasoning behind that variation that's been made in our environmental ambition?
Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, if you could just let me know, I can tell you in general, but I can tell me the specific sorry, I've got the A12. Is that right? Is it? That's A12. I think it's A15. A12, sorry. Yeah, that's okay. I've got A15. So what we've done, councillors, through you, sorry, Mr Mayor, in recent council meetings, we've looked to firstly consolidate all our actions in relation to greening Randwick and being one major component. But what we're looking at there is just the target of 90% is consistent with nearly all of our targets. So we now have what we're working to in the next year is having a scope of works that council can clearly identify in our capital works program, which we haven't had before, other than just the name of a program. So the recent resolution of council looked to develop a specific program, and we will have that program listed in our capital works program, each area identified, and then seek to achieve 90% in that. It's more reasonable, we would say, is an achievable target, sorry, than 100%.
Thank you. Councillor Magnet.
Not specifically about that, but just a question about the anchoring on the capital works budget and how this clearly meet all of the deliverables in the operational plan need budget allocation, but there's no budget allocation that's included in the report. So can you clarify how we can connect those
question,
from a governance point of view?
Yep. So obviously, with a operational plan, a budget is accompanied to the operational plan. So the targets in here now are linked to the budget or the capital works budget that council will receive. So at the moment, there is a high-level program funding allocation for the greening initiatives, a whole array of different initiatives for that particular scheme. But the resolution of council just recently was to develop the specific program of works. So inside the capital works programs in the future, we will be able, like a footpath program or a roads program, to specifically identify the areas that we're going to embark on, the tree planting areas, and then through that list, council can check our progress on how we're tracking through, just like you would a road program.
Thank you. Councillor Willington.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor, to the relevant officer. Under the environment, under water saving initiatives, in multi-unit dwellings has been crossed out and we just have water saving initiatives. Does that mean we are not going to engage with multi-unit dwellings in relation to this, or is it still encompassed?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Could I, Councillor, just ask the number of the item that you were referring to?
I beg your pardon. It's in the environment. It's A12.4.
A12.4, provide grants, rebates, final assistance to support the delivery of sustainable outcomes. Is that?
Yes, and then in relation to water saving initiatives, in multi-unit dwellings has been struck out.
Through to the Director of City Services.
Sorry, was that 12.4?
It's
12.4.3, I believe.
A12.4, and then across in the right-hand column is say 12.4.3.
Right.
Sorry, we found it. We've got it. It's on the single sheet because it's ended.
12.3, range of initiatives.
12.9.
Yeah, I think sorry, I can come back to you on that one, Councillor, through yourself, Mr Mayor, but I believe the initiative is looking to more broadly be applied to the LGA rather than just multi-unit dwellings.
So multi-unit dwellings would continue to be included under that?
That's right, not eliminating multi-unit dwellings, but rather broadening the application of the initiatives to single-unit dwellings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further...
Sorry.
There being no further questions, I now move that the report be read and... Last call on questions. I move that the report be read and noted. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We now move to GAC/9, /26 Disability Inclusion Action Plan. Could I please have somebody move that the report be read and noted? Moved Councillor Wellington, seconded by Councillor Luxford. The first question at the appropriate time, could the manager please elaborate on the report when ready?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Governance Advisory Committee. I'm Trina Soulos, Manager Community Development. This evening I'll be co-presenting with my colleague Eva Harvenstein, who is the Manager of Engineering Services. And this evening we'll be talking about the Disability Inclusion Action Plan, or DIAP, as you'll hear it referred to. We'll talk about some of the outcomes of the current and existing DIAP, as well as the planned DIAP, 2026 to 2030. A Disability Inclusion Action Plan, or DIAP, is a 4-year plan outlining how an organisation will improve access, inclusion and the participation of people with disability. As a public authority, Randwick City Council is required by the New South Wales Disability Inclusion Act to have a DIAP and to provide it to the Disability Council of New South Wales. The DIAP meets our legislative requirements of the Commonwealth Disability Discrimination Act and also the Carer Recognition Act. In New South Wales, the authorising body for DIAPs is the Department of Communities and Justice. Implementation progress is provided to the Department of Communities and Justice each December for the previous financial year. At the local level, the DIAP is part of how we achieve the inclusive Randwick strategy, where Section 1.1 outlines a commitment to develop a series of community plans to address the diverse needs of our community, including people with disability. Council's operational plan of 2024 to 25 committed to progressing this work through action item A24.1.1, implement Council's Disability Inclusion Action Plan, and also action item A24.1.2, report on implementation of the wide range of activities identified in the DIAP. In December of 2022, Council adopted its second DIAP for the period 2022 to 2026, and outcomes achieved under this plan. I'll touch on some of those achieved this evening up to the period 31st of March 2026, but the full DIAP will be reported to the Department of Communities and Justice in December of this year as required. To provide some context, the DIAP aligns to the New South Wales Disability Inclusion Framework, which is structured around 4 key focus areas. Firstly, positive attitudes and behaviours, which is about promoting community awareness, education and fostering a culture of community inclusion. Secondly, livable communities is all about improving access to physical environments, transport, housing and access to public spaces. The third focus area is about meaningful employment, which is about increasing employment opportunities, including leadership roles and inclusive recruitment. And the final one is accessible systems and services, which is about ensuring information, digital services and processes are accessible to everybody. Across the 4 key focus areas in the current and existing DIAP for the period 2022 to 2026, Council committed to 59 actions. To date, 53 of these actions, or 90%, are now completed. 3 actions, or 5%, are in progress. They've commenced and will roll into the next DIAP. And 3 actions, or 5%, have been discontinued following an investigation or piloting. A report detailing the outcomes of the 59 actions and their status is due to be submitted to the Department of Communities and Justice in December of 2026, and councillors can expect a report on that at the next council meeting also. Just to call out some of the more recent achievements under the current and existing DIAP, this year Council joined the Australian Disability Network, which is the peak body for organisations actively committed to the employment inclusion of people with disability. Membership will inform Council's workforce training program. It'll expand employee access and inclusion measures as an employment retention strategy, and also longer term, it will guide Council to become a disability confident recruiter. Council also established the Access and Older Persons Advisory Committee, which is comprised of 10 community representatives and facilitated by Councillor Wellington. Council also stood up a disability inclusion working group made up of council officers. Council has delivered disability awareness training for the leadership team and community-facing officers, expanded beach, playground and museum accessibility program, and endorsed Council's workforce management strategy.
Thank you. Site inspections have commenced to assess the compliance of curb ramps with current standards in our town centres. Inspections have been completed at Maroubra Junction, with Matraville and Clovelly town centres to be inspected by the middle of this year. Factors including the gradient, orientation of the curb ramp and landing space at the rear are being considered as part of this assessment, and any non-compliances are being recorded. The data that's collected as part of this review will be used to inform planning and design for upcoming works on our town centre master plan upgrades. In addition to the curb ramp reviews, we're also in the process of auditing access at our beaches and foreshores. The audit aims to identify and review existing assets that provide improved access, such as the Clovelly water access ramp and the beach matting at Malabar. The scope of the audit also includes the assessment of assets within the vicinity of these beaches and foreshore areas, including accessible parking and amenities. All inspections are now complete, with an assessment of the data collected underway. The audit findings will be used to inform future works programs, as well as for use in guidance material for the community, particularly on our webpage, with a review and update of our accessible facilities page. In terms of current works program, as part of this year's capital works program, to date 24 curb ramps have been constructed or upgraded as part of the programs that are mentioned there on the screen, with a further 11 due to be constructed by the end of the financial year. Inspections and scoping for curb ramp upgrades to be delivered as part of next year's program are underway.
Council's DIAP 2026-2030 is due to be submitted to the New South Wales Department of Communities and Justice for implementation on 1 July 2026. The development of this plan has commenced. It commenced toward the end of last year, and it's been informed by research to build a picture of the broader policy and service context, an analysis of Randwick City's demographic profile. It's been informed by reflection and learnings from our current DIAP and its implementation, and also engagement insights with key stakeholders through a variety of methods, and to date that's included digital survey, intercept survey at community events, workshops, pop-up consultations, one-on-one interviews and focus groups. The Department of Communities and Justice requires meaningful engagement of people with disability in the development of a DIAP. To date, the team have consulted 501 individuals to inform the draft. And please note that consultations continue and will continue throughout the exhibition period. From the consultation conducted to date, there are a series of key insights that have emerged. This includes that across all cohorts, including staff, there was a strong call for greater awareness and understanding of hidden disability, neurodivergence, and also mental health. Secondly, community members consistently describe the importance of safe, accessible, sensory-aware and welcoming public spaces that support independence, mobility and social connection. And in this, feedback highlighted both physical access issues and the broader experience of moving through community spaces as somebody with hidden disability. Thirdly, and although raised less frequently, employment was a focused theme among service providers, carers and also council staff. Feedback from community and service providers tended to highlight the gaps in the local work readiness supports and the need for clearer, more accessible pathways into meaningful employment for people with disability and most especially young people. Feedback from staff emphasised the importance of supportive leadership, consistent expectations and a workplace culture that enables participation and career progression for people with disability. Across all engagement activities, people described significant challenges navigating complex health systems, particularly the NDIS, aged care, mental health and health referral pathways. People told us they want clear information, easier processes and more consistent support across services. And additionally, in addition to all of this, Council received some really quite positive feedback on the work that's being conducted as part of our current and existing DIAP, and community want to see that work continue as well. These insights have informed the development of the draft Disability Inclusion Action Plan 2026 to 2030. And just to offer a little sneak peek into what the structure looks like against the 4 areas aligned to the New South Wales Disability Inclusion Framework, there is a series of outcomes. I think there are 13 drafted up there. Against each outcome, as with all plans, all social plans, against each outcome there is a series of actions, a time frame and lead council teams responsible for their implementation, as well as the identification of council teams who will support the implementation of that action. The draft DIAP will be presented to the April council meeting. So in terms of risks, the first one identified is that the New South Wales Department of Communities and Justice set clear requirements for developing a DIAP, and this is under the Disability Inclusion Act. The Disability Council of New South Wales has produced a checklist to guide the development of DIAPs, and where we are, council officers are confident that these conditions have been met through the adopted methodology, and specifically including the engagement of people with lived experience in the plan's development, alignment of the plan to the 4 focus areas set out by the New South Wales Disability Inclusion Framework, and also that the DIAP adopts a whole of organisation and council-wide approach to implementation. The second risk identified is that during the DIAP, the existing term of our current DIAP, significant sector reforms have occurred in the disability and aged care support sectors. And to mitigate the risk of uncertain service systems, Council continues to deliver the sector support and development through the Commonwealth Home Support Program. This helps us as Council officers stay on top of sector reforms and changes, and also identify improvement opportunity. This work continues to inform the development of the DIAP, and it has also supported consultations by addressing questions or areas of concern presented by community members who have been engaged in the consultation process and just not know how to access the services they need. So in summary, Council continues to make strong progress delivering the DIAP 2022 to 2026, with 90% of actions now completed and key initiatives embedded across Council services, facilities and organisational practice. The development of our next DIAP builds on these achievements and responds directly to what community has told us. The draft DIAP will be presented to the Council meeting in April, seeking endorsement for public exhibition, and during this time further community and stakeholder engagement will refine and confirm the draft actions set out by the plan. Following the engagement period, councillors can expect the final to be presented to the June Council meeting, which will seek endorsement for implementation as of 1 July. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. I have a hand up from Councillor Said, and then I'll go to Councillor Hamilton. Okay, Councillor Hamilton, and then I'll go to Councillor... Actually, I'm going to take a note. I have Hamilton. So Hamilton, Said. I saw a hand up from Councillor Asghari, and then I'll go to Councillor Beach. Councillor Hamilton.
Thanks. My question's in relation to the curb ramps.
Yes, Eva.
So, Eva. So I know that we did a lot of work many years ago around ensuring that there was a pedestrian pathway, like a footpath, along one side of every single road in the LGA. And then I remember it's my first term and we did talk about curbs as well, and so the ramps. My question's about, I'm not questioning the work or anything like that, but just do we also list or have some way of identifying when a corner is not able to have a curb? And the example is 38 Prince Street. So that came to me via a resident, and I'm not even, a specialist in this area, but I can kind of see why it wouldn't work there either, because it was right on a person's driveway, the corner of a street, so there's a lot of difficulties. I just think that it would be good if there was some kind of way of producing examples of what could seem to be excluded from a curb ramp, and then that listed, I don't know, so that, for that to be made a little bit more readily available. Even if it's just for us, I don't know, but just some way of identifying that corner is just not suitable for a curb ramp, and it's because of these reasons. Because it looked like rain was just going to go straight up it,
Yep. Through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, we can certainly provide that type of information. So obviously, yeah, there are requirements under the standard in terms of gradient and that sort of thing, and obviously depending on some locations, it's quite difficult to achieve compliance. But yeah, we can provide that detail.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it looked like something that was difficult, and the feedback to the resident was that it was not suitable, and so I think it would be great if it was somehow identified in the paperwork that what would not be suitable for a curb ramp. Mm-hmm. Other than that, fantastic.
Thank you. Councillor Seth.
I may have missed it because it might be in there and it may be on the actual website, but years ago I put a motion through that we needed to do an audit on disabled toilets, and then put that map of where they were on the accessible facilities page. It could have already happened, I just didn't notice it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is part of the review that I mentioned with that audit, particularly. Obviously, the main focus at the moment is the beaches and the foreshore areas, but that is exactly the information that we're looking to make sure is up to date on the website on that page. I will just need to take that offline and double check in terms of where exactly that is at the moment, but I believe it is on the, should be on the accessible facilities page.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Asghari. Councillor Said, could you just turn off your microphone? Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation and the extensive report. I just have a question that do we have accessible information and communication in place for public spaces in case of emergency to make sure that people with disability are safe?
Thank you.
Am I clear?
Through to the relevant officer.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, not currently to my knowledge, Councillor Asghari, but something that we'll most definitely look at for the resilience strategy.
Thank you. Councillor Leach.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and I'm also really looking forward to reading the report. I'm sure a huge amount of work has gone into it. I've got three separate questions. One is about the curb ramps at Maroubra Junction. I've had discussions with various staff over this for many years now, particularly I think there's about 8 curb ramps at the Boyce Road intersections that are just completely not fit for purpose, and I understand that due to Telstra infrastructure and so on, that there have been real challenges about that. But given that there's such a high pedestrian traffic, including people with disability in that area, I just want to know what we can do about that. The other one was...
I might let the
just
director...
do one at a time?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I know we in previous ones have done it, but I think it flows better to allow them to actually answer it. To the to the manager.
Yep, through you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of the inspections that have happened that I mentioned with Maroubra Junction being the first one completed, so as I mentioned before, there's a number of aspects that are being looked at in terms of compliance with standards of the curb ramps at those intersections, and looking at nearby utilities is a part of that to, I guess, look at any key constraints, because as mentioned, Telstra infrastructure can be extremely cost prohibitive to relocate and adjust the curb ramps. I don't have the specifics in front of me now, but certainly can provide that further detail around where there are those types of constraints with the specific curb ramps at those intersections when it comes to utilities. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Lynch.
Thank you. My second question, I guess, was a little bit related. You know, many of our footpaths, we get a lot of complaints from people who use electric wheelchairs, or particularly the mobility sort of scooters, who often have to travel quite long distances, for example, to get to the light rail, because you can't get a mobility scooter onto a bus. So there are people travelling very long distances on their scooters to go up to the light rail stations. And I mean, I've seen people with electric wheel scooters and scooters on roads, including Anzac Parade, because so many of our footpaths are just not suitable, or there's just lots of little bumps or bits that are too narrow. I mean, what sort of audits are we doing? I mean, it's obviously a vast problem, and staff have been quite responsive when I've sent through, you know, requests for repairs and so on. But, you know, are there any sort of particular pressure points or areas that we're really looking to focus on, or, you know, what can we do about some of our footpaths to help with these issues?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, just to seek a bit of clarification on that question. It's more, I guess, the concern around potential trip hazards along those sort of priority high use routes, rather than the footpaths. Is that the concern?
Sorry, yeah, just to clarify, it was more for people who are in those mobility scooters and wheelchairs and so on, who are having to, I mean, it would be a trip hazard probably for people who are walking as well, but, you know, there are some areas of footpaths that are just really uneven. There's just different issues with them that make them very difficult to traverse for people in those kind of mobility scooters and things, and so they're often going onto the road, or actually just literally damaging their scooters and having to get them repaired.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So those types of issues would we do have our regular asset inspection regimes, and through our footpath renewal program, locations would then be identified and then included for repair or replacement as part of that program. So areas where in close proximity to shopping precincts, town centres generally are inspected at a higher frequency, and I guess in terms of prioritisation. But yeah, through the footpath renewal program would be the key way that those matters would be addressed.
And if it's okay, I just want to have a follow-up question to that before I go to my last question. So following up from that, I mean, has the Australian standards for footpaths changed over the years to kind of accommodate people in those situations, and do our footpaths actually meet those current Australian standards, or is that something that we're focusing on?
Yep. Through you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of the standard for a footpath itself, it hasn't changed too much over the years. Our council and others, if anything, have, in terms of upgrades and new footpaths, they're slightly wider than they were in the past, so there may be some older footpaths around that may be narrower. But in terms of the gradient across the footpath itself, that's been fairly standard for quite a while now, so it'd be more the width for anything newer may have changed, but those older footpaths would still be sufficient for those types of talking mobility scooters to utilise.
Thank you. Your last question, Councillor Lynch.
So hopefully we are widening those footpaths where they're not meeting the current standards. The last one is more about inclusion at events. And I know I've raised this a few years ago, but there's been requests from people in the disability community to have greater access to our big events, such as like the Coogee Carols and Anzac Day, where you've obviously got crowds of people pouring down to Coogee and other places, and there's just not enough disability parking, and it's, there's been requests for reserved seating areas and so on. Is that something that we've made any progress on?
To the manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor.
My apologies.
Not at all. Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Veach, yes, that's something we've heard through consultation, and it is certainly an action that's being addressed by the upcoming DIAP. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, can I now move that the report be read and noted? All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. There being no further business, I call the Governance Advisory Committee closed. Thank you.